What's up everybody, Charlie here with another cigar review video for you from StogieReview.com, and today I have the new Havana Cigars Surrogates. This is an exclusive blend, only available from newhavanacigars.com. Comes in two different vitolas, and I'm going to try to review both of them here in this video. There is the Bone Crusher, which is 5 1/4 by 54 ring gauge in a traditional Parejo vitola, and the Skull Breaker, which is what I'm smoking tonight, is also 5 1/4 inches long, and it's in a 52 ring gauge, so slightly different, although they're the same blend tobacco-wise. Now, as far as what that blend is, I'm not really sure, other than it having a broadleaf wrapper of some origin. You know, they don't want to say what other tobaccos are in the binder or in the filler or anything like that, so kind of keeping that under wraps. So, you know, as you can see, the Surrogates, and hopefully that all that noise doesn't drown everything out from my neighbor's heating units, but these cigars, and maybe I can give you a closer look, have sort of, see the Skull Breaker. The Skull Breaker has a red skull icon on the band, and the Bone Crusher has sort of a bone, you know, icon on it. So immediately with that branding, you know, a lot of folks were thinking, you know, and with all the mystery surrounding the cigar, that this was either intended to be a clone of the Viaje Skull and Bones, or possibly made by Viaje. You know, people were jumping to that conclusion. But Dan Walsh from New Havana Cigars jumped on board and told people, you know, that's not the case. That's not what he was trying to do. You know, he's sorry if there's any confusion. Still not telling anyone what's in this cigar or where it's from, but, you know, prior to, you know, contrary to popular misconception, it's not meant to be a Viaje Skull and Bones remake. You know, even with the name Surrogates, you know, could lend itself to being some sort of substitute, but that's not the case. So, you know, let's jump in and see what's going on with the cigar here. You know, it's not meant to be something else. It's supposed to stand on its own, so let's see what we got here. So right off the bat, the cigar, it's not the most beautiful wrapper in the world. You know, broadleaf is kind of a tougher sort of wrapper, kind of rustic looking. You know, there are some veins visible, a little bit of modeling. You know, almost looks like milk chocolate brown, and, you know, smelling the wrapper, you're getting a lot of real chocolate flavor coming from that, chocolate aroma. Off the foot, a lot more of the chocolate, really distinct chocolate, maybe some dark fruit like a raisin, and a bit of spice maybe. Really nice sort of scent coming off the foot here. Let me go ahead and find my paleo cutter, paleo, however you say it, and go ahead and clip the cap. So I'm trying to cover both of the New Havana Cigars Surrogates with this review. I've smoked, there we go, ooh, spicy. I've smoked 2 of the Bone Crushers already, and 1 of the Skull Breakers, and this one loose tobacco, like I'm smoking tonight. Off the cold draw, a little bit of the chocolate, but much more of the dark fruit and a lot of spice, which is pretty nice. Nice open draw. So yeah, smoked 2 of the Bone Crushers before, 1 of the Skull Breakers before. This is another this is another Skull Breaker. Again, the blend's the same, and the vitolas are just slightly different. You know, the Skull Breaker is just one ring gauge smaller. So I'm trying to cover both of them in this review. So let me go ahead, light this up, check out the first third, and I'll come back and let you know what I think. All right, I'm back in the first third of my New Havana Cigars Surrogates. I'm smoking the Skull Breaker right now, and things are going really well. As you can see, lots and lots of really thick smoke on each puff. The draw is absolutely perfect. Burns pretty good. The ash, as you can see, is getting a little flaky, which has been the exception with these. The other 3 that I've smoked so far, the burn and the ash have been absolutely perfect. This is starting to pick up, I guess, a bit of a wave to it. I'm probably going to have to touch up. The other ones that I've smoked twice, when I was outside. It was actually quite windy. The ash held on really long for as windy as it was, about 1.5 inches before it fell off, and the burn was fantastic. So maybe this one's just a tiny bit wonky. Flavor-wise, tons of flavor, lots of red pepper, which kind of lingers on and on in the finish. Definitely some woodiness and nuttiness, some underlying sweetness, maybe a hint of chocolate, some of the dark fruit from before, maybe some raisin. So lots and lots of flavors going on here. Going back to more of the backstory of these cigars, I think what Dan was trying to do at New Havana Cigars, the story he's got on the website is, a lot of the times some of our favorite smokes tend to be either limited edition or limited release, and it's hard to get your hands on them, or once they're gone, they're gone. And what he tried to do is to put together, a really enjoyable smoke that you could still get your hands on, that was available and that would be there for a while. So, you try a couple, you get a box, you smoke through them, decide, hey, I want more. It'll still be there. It's not like they're, a one-time shot and they're gone. I guess the idea is to have these cigars, keep them available for people who really like them. So I'm enjoying it so far. I've enjoyed, all four. 3 plus this one that I've had. So let me continue smoking, and I'll get back in the second, third, and let you know how it's going then. All right, I'm back with the second, third of the New Havana Cigars Surrogates, the Skull Breaker, I'm sorry. It's the Bone Crusher and the Skull Breaker, the two Vitolas. Again, I apologize for that background noise. It's my neighbor's heating unit out here on a pretty chilly November evening on my deck in Delaware. So in the second, third here, again, the burn is a little funky. I had to touch it up once already, probably gonna have to do it again. I don't know if you can see, a little uneven there, and the ash is kind of flaky and a bit ugly, I might say. Might have to remove the secondary Surrogates band before I start smoking the band. That won't be good. So despite the burn problems, which again have been the exception, not the rule, it always seems to be that the I have the worst burn when I'm shooting the video. Isn't that always the case? So flavor-wise, the pepper has diminished a little bit. It's kind of taken its foot off the gas. Spice-wise, more of the sweetness is coming through. Definitely some tanginess, and maybe a tiny bit of toffee flavor. Through the sinuses, you really get that tangy sort of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but yeah. So despite the little funky burn, things are going pretty well otherwise. Still have a great draw, lots and lots of smoke volume, which I like, as you could see a moment ago. So again, going back to the story here, with the name of these two Vitolas, the Bone Crusher for the standard sort of Parejo, and the Skull Breaker for the Bellicoso. Again, the same blend, just slightly different shapes. With the confusion with the name and the branding, reminiscent of Viaje, Skull and Bones. The names that were chosen for these were sort of, and these are a New Havana Cigars exclusive, and NewHavanaCigars.com is where you'd have to go to pick these up. Again, $7.50 a stick, and slightly cheaper buying it by the box. But the name Bone Crusher and Skull Breaker, sort of to describe only the real difference between them. It's the same blend. I would characterize the flavors as being pretty similar, but the names, so Bone Crusher, what Dan was saying is that it's meant to describe the stick as being sort of hitting you to the bones power-wise, because these are both full body, full strength cigars nicotine-wise. So with the Bone Crusher, you're definitely feeling that strength while you're smoking the cigar. While with the Skull Breaker, meant to be a feeling it in your head kind of experience, and by that, it's one of those things where you don't feel the power or the strength as much while you're smoking it, but you know, 15-20 minutes after you've put it down, that's when you start feeling the effects of the nicotine. And I laughed when I read that on the New Havana NewHavanaCigars.blogspot.com blog website that they run. You know, that was certainly my experience. You know, the first of the Surrogates that I smoked was the Skull Breaker, and you know, it was billed as a full cigar. Wow, lots of noise now. Hope you can even hear me. You know, I didn't really feel the strength of the Skull Breaker the first time I smoked it until after I put it down. I actually smoked it right before a class, right before a software engineering lab that I was running. So I smoked the cigar before that lab, and I got there and I start fielding questions from my students, and I'm almost sitting there in a little bit of a nicotine buzz going on as I was answering these questions. Whereas when I smoked the 2 Bone Crushers, I definitely felt that strength as I was smoking it. So I really laughed when I read that description, because that's what I had put down in my notes before I even read that blog post. You know, so that's definitely an apt description. But you know, again, reading what Dan wrote, I believe it's Dan Walsh. You know, if he had known that, or if he had foresaw the confusion with the Viaje Skull and Bones line, he probably would have named them Punisher for the skull theme. You know, sort of the superhero Punisher with the skull, and just Crusher for the other Vitola to avoid confusion. But this is what he came up with, and this is what he's sticking with. You know, I think these cigars came out in September, I believe, so fairly new. But I'm going to continue on into the final third, and then I'll come back to wrap things up and let you know how everything turned out. All right. Excuse me. Final third of the New Havana Cigars Surrogates Skull Crusher. And it's getting kind of cold out here. My fingers are getting numb, so I think I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. Again, the burn's a little funky. Be getting close here so you can see. Not really sure what the issue is. You know, it's pretty calm here tonight. There's no wind, and half the ash just fell off. You know, like I said, I don't really know what the problem is with the burn tonight. All of the other 3 that I've smoked of the Surrogates, burn's been fantastic. And I'm not sure what the issue is with this one. Flavor-wise, it's certainly, you know, I don't enjoy the flavor of the end as much as I did the beginning of the Surrogates. There's still some spice, more of a tingling, sort of merging with the tanginess, lots of tanginess. The complexity has really died down. Long finish, there's some natural tobacco, maybe a hint of sweetness, but you know, like I said, I certainly enjoy the flavor profile in the beginning more so than the end. So probably going to wrap things up. I've been trying to get this video done for the past couple days. It's Saturday night now. I was trying to get it done either Thursday or Friday night, but you know, things just didn't cooperate. I've been super busy. By the time you see this, it'll be released probably early Tuesday morning. Monday I'm doing my PhD proposal presentation, so hopefully by the time you see this video and read the review, I will have passed that and moved into PhD candidate status, up from part-time status. So keep your fingers crossed for me on that. So kind of disappointed with the burn here, and again, don't really care for the flavor at the end as much as the beginning. But all in all, you know, I've enjoyed these 4 that I've had, these samples, review samples, and I'll certainly give it another try if I get my hands on some more going forward. But I guess that'll pretty much do it. I've rambled on plenty. This video will be a bit longer than some of the others, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. And again, thanks for all your great support. Really love the feedback that I've been getting. You know, as things get colder, as we transition into late fall and winter, I'm gonna have to start wearing gloves doing these outside video reviews. But yeah, thanks for watching, and keep smoking, and I'll check back with you next time.